it was you, like your whole vibe, your whole aura, like it was just so positive, and it shined through everything in the room. Overall, you are a beautiful person, and I love you.
Proverbs chapter 18, verse 22. He who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord. Marriage, to many, is a sacred bond made before God, uniting a couple as one flesh.
I will say this, Peg's the best thing that ever happened to me. There's no doubt about that.
The combination of love also means the combination of two families. Families who would now share everything. Through history, some marriages were not necessarily for religious purposes, but strictly for business. Look at the medieval time period, for instance. Kings and queens often arranged their children to be married for increase of alliance, political gain, and ultimately, more riches. Yes, marriage can be a moneymaker, an economic equation, if you will. The husband works while the wife stays home and takes care of the children.
We're all products of how we were raised. You know, my dad was raised in the Depression, my mom also. Daddy believed that you didn't buy anything if you could not pay for it. I mean, pay for it like on the spot. Like if you bought a car, you paid cash for your car, and if you couldn't pay cash for it, then you didn't buy a car. You know, you drove around in something else. And so with everything. So I came into our marriage with that attitude.
These were common gender roles up into the late 1960s, which was the start of the women's liberation movement.
So she was the antithesis of my mother. And she was very independent at age, when I met her. How old were you, 19 at that time?
19, 20, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she was already a strong personality, a strong, what I would call a strong woman. You know, the kind of thing that I would think that the women's movement was sort of trying to lift up, if you will. You know, she already had all those qualities, and that was, it appealed to me.
Gary and Peg got married in October 1977. Peg was 21 and Gary was 27.
Back then it was the norm to get married young.
I mean, I was 28 at the time.
Yeah.
21. So I was certainly, I mean, in my generation, I was probably a little bit late, you know, in getting married.
Marriage in your early 20s was the norm during the 60s. But in 2010, according to the Census Bureau, getting married closer to 30 is the new reality for millennials.
You can travel together. I mean, there's no reason why you should have to go out, you know, hold your marriage off just because you want to do it. You can do it with your spouse. And you can combine your resources and maybe be able to afford a better trip.
Millennials, born in the early 80s to the late 90s, mostly to parents of Generation X and baby boomers, represent 1/4 of the population. And according to the Pew Research Center, millennials are the best educated group of young adults. All of this means millennials dominate in sociocultural and economic environments, making millennials natural-born leaders. These leaders may not be choosing to get married, but instead, they're finding their new ways to coexist.
We didn't have a car, so we didn't have anywhere to go. So I got kind of like used to like being in his space. And then not only that, like I knew he wasn't messy to an extreme extent, but I mean, it's not good, but it just made sense. Like, I don't know, this year he got his apartment, I stayed on campus. I really hate, like, not to say that my roommates are bad, like I hate staying with people I don't know. So I kind of like, we would spend nights at each other's house anyway, so it just was like, all right, it's just.
It became official, like I worked overnight for about a good 2 months.
Yeah.
And I would stay at her dorm from like 10 till I had to go so she could wake me up so I could make it to work.
Yeah.
And then in the morning I would be like, hey, you want me to take you to school? But it just made sense for her to stay at my place.
Today, more than 65% of marriages start out this way.
Normally I get annoyed with people. I need a break. Somebody coming over my house, like that's not her. You can stay for a day, but then after that you gotta go.
Yeah.
But she could stay for like time on time, and then we're just chilling.
I think also because we're like both introverts, that it make like we know when to separate. Although I don't know, I don't think we've ever separated for very long. The longest we've been apart is a week, and it was last week for spring break.
Tia and Nick not only live together, but they share roles in their home.
In like economics, we split the task. I'm not a good cook, but he is. But I like to clean, and he doesn't. Now, granted, I don't always clean, but it's just like I don't know. It makes sense because we spend our time with each other anyway. We might as well just not spend gas money.
Natural-born leaders that more than likely grew up immersed in technology, which gives instant gratification and no time for meaningful connections. Pew Research also reports that 83% of millennials use Facebook, a site that gives you a sense of belongingness. Religion isn't a driving force behind marriage. Women have technology to freeze their eggs, and socializing can all be done on your smartphone. The question lies, is independence more important to millennials?
Right now, I think people are focusing more on their education or probably more on their careers.
Can't really take care of a household in the sense of, like there's a lot of excess responsibilities that people don't see outside of just being together.
If he proposed in 2 years, I'd still prolong the engagement. Like, I don't know. I feel like engagement is a completely different, set. Like, right now we're boyfriend and girlfriend. I feel like so many things happen in between the period of being fiance and fiance.
To group millennials in one category would be an understatement. And even though deciding to tie the knot can be cloudy for some, for Chetna and Sidar, their stars aligned.
My mother made sure she really gave in her heart and soul to make sure all the traditions are there. And my father and my brother were very supportive to my mother to, make it a big success.
Chetna and Sidar are from India and are Hindi.
You just show the star on the sky, but there is no star. The groom tells that there is a star on the sky. Can you say it? And the bride says like, okay, yeah, I can say it. But there is no star in such a way that both are on the same point. So they trust each other and they are seeing the star.
We got engaged on August 4th. My wedding actually was on October 28th, early morning 4:30. So 27th evening we have a function like, we call them Edurkollu. It's like we'll have some kind of a fun for that. We had reception, so we had around 2,000 guests come for the party. Yeah, it was quite a big party. It is always a cream or white color sari we have. So it should be a maroon color blouse. We don't really choose colors like black. Black is completely avoided in our weddings.
In their culture, the women wear beads to represent their wed, and a sindoor, which is a sign of a married Indian woman. Chetna and Sidar's wedding was over the span of 5 days. Chetna's mother plays an active role in the choosing of the husband and planning the wedding.
In one family, one girl is there. She's beautiful, and the parents are seeking for the bridegroom and all. So like that information can be reached to each and every family. So whenever my son-in-law's parents, after receiving that, they send a word to us. We have one boy and all. Then immediately we contacted them. And very first we will give more importance for horoscope also. So then these two qualities are matched. So immediately we went there and we have seen the boy. We impressed. So immediately we sent photo to my daughter.
In India, arranged marriages are still common, and getting married by their early 20s is as well. Unlike the US, India has an extremely low divorce rate. Chetna suggests it's based off the difference in cultures.
For us in India, once you're married to a person, it's just you are married. Like hook or crook, you are with that person forever. It's not like, you can't get rid of it or anything. We don't have the concept of divorce in India. Before that, now it's eventually come. You need to have that trust and commitment for one person. And I think the generation completely forgot that, you know, a person will have defects. Whomever you choose, nobody is perfect.
Although choosing your spouse may be the norm in America, many have different beliefs on how marriage works for them.
I feel like in our culture, marriage is seen as a bit more sacred.
Nida married at 19 and was a freshman at Florida State University.
People don't realize this, but in Islam, the woman is given a lot of importance in whether it be marriage or just in general. The status of a woman as a daughter, a wife, and a mother is deemed really, really high. So like there's certain rights you have along with that, and certain obligations that the husband is required to fulfill when his wife is like in those positions.
Nida has a 2-year-old son. She says with the help of her family, she's able to manage both school and being a mother.
Your family life definitely evolves when you have children. Being a young mom, like my situation is very different because I'm a young mom. I'm also in like a rigorous graduate program. My husband isn't here, so like that's also something we kind of have to adjust to. There's like a different life to take into account.
Nida's husband lives in Atlanta due to work, a sacrifice that her family had to make, but she makes it work.
Me going to school and like working so hard, sometimes not seeing him nearly as much as I'd like. I definitely have at the back of my mind, like, you know, as much as this might seem tough for me, in the end, like my goal is to set a good example for him. So it definitely changes your focus.
Compromising is a huge component of marriage. In an era where millennials are choosing to have a career rather than seek marriage, Jamia and Marquise see things differently.
We met in the caf and used to always have this positive attitude, but yet you never noticed me. And then one day while I was in the caf with my roommate, I was like, Tati, that's the guy that I was talking about. And then she was like, why you keep staring at him? Are you gonna say something? And I was like, should I? She was like, why not?
Go ahead.
The intentions was to say, excuse me, sir, my name is Jamia. What is your name? But when I said, excuse me, sir, I wasn't expecting you to answer. And when you did, I just froze. I didn't know what
you said.
I said, I like your dimple. You're just gonna let me get it out.
My bad, I'm sorry, girl. All right.
I said, I like your dimple.
At the end of the day, I still knew that I had you. I know you say that a lot too, but I may not have, said it a lot or just mentioned that to you, but I felt that peace, when I came home to you, no matter what the situation was that went on outside those walls. But when I went inside the 4 walls and I seen you home, like I said, it just put me at peace. So, and it's like situations like that just made me appreciate you more, because it's just like, like I always told you, most people, they would have gave up on me. When do you feel closest to me?
I feel closest to you when you're not around me. If you're at work, I'm at school, that's when I feel closest to you, only because I miss you and I know that I'm coming home to you. And that just makes me feel even closer to you. It draws me to you, like, I can't wait till he come home.
Jamia and Marquise are the epitome of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 and 5. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. But it seems sometimes millennials are not getting it right. In 2017, there were nearly 1 million divorces. Other generations have accused millennials of being selfish, but true love can hit you when you least expect it.